What's up, everybody? Cold open. Right into the show we go. This is tacked on afterwards. We had to, man. They won a national title. Florida State won its 5th national title last night with a win 1-0 over number 1 Stanford, exacting revenge for a loss the Noles suffered back in October. I didn't get to watch a game. I was out there living life, everybody. Y'all should be doing it too. We just endured a 5-7 football team. What I'm going to do is read Corey Clark's story. Remember how, like on the Howard Stern show, there was Robin Quivers? She was the news reader. I'm going to be the news reader right now. I'm just going to read you guys the news. The Florida State women's soccer team knocked off number 1 seed Stanford 1-0 Monday night in Kansas City and won its 5th national championship in school history. The offensive hero once again was Rihanna Hudson, who scored with just over 3 minutes remaining to break a scoreless tie. In the semifinals of the College Cup, Hudson scored in the 73rd minute to give Florida State a 1-0 win over TCU. This is the Seminoles' 2nd national title in the last 3 years and 2nd under head coach Brian Penske. It is Florida State's 3rd national championship in the last 5 years and 5th in school history. Corey tweeted, that means they're a dynasty, by the way, everybody. Stanford was 21-1-2 on the season. They won the ACC regular season championship and also claimed the ACC tournament title. Along with Hudson's heroics, Florida State also played exceptional defense and got a great performance in goal by freshman keeper Katie Okini. Gosh, I hope I said that right. She had 9 saves on the night, including multiple ones at close range in the first half. This was on the heels of her save in the final seconds on Friday night to preserve the win over TCU. She's a little animal, Penske said. It's big time. She's the MVP of this match, and that's what great goalkeepers have to do. And Hudson, a sophomore, is proving to be a great goal scorer in her 2nd season of college soccer. She finished the season with a team-high 15 goals and now has 24 in her career. None compared to what happened on Monday night when she took a pass from Taylor Suarez in front of the box that snuck past a Stanford defender and then deposited in the left corner of the goal. Good writing by Corey. Second later, she was tackled by star junior Jordan Dudley and then mobbed by her teammates. 3 minutes later, they were celebrating a 5th star for the program. I learned that with grit and hard work and just being animals, you can do anything, Hudson said after the game. It was a different kind of national championship season for the Seminoles in 2025. Unlike previous ones, Florida State had its shares of struggles this fall, relatively speaking, of course. As Penske pointed out after the game, his team started the season 7-0-1 and then had a stretch of 7 games in which it went 3-2-3. Quite un-Florida State-like. That's not beautiful, Penske said. And then they just finished the season 6-0 in the NCAA tournament with a national championship. Not a bad response at all. And Penske said he couldn't be more proud of what his players accomplished this season. It's amazing, he said. So proud of my team, so resilient, so tough. They weathered the storm in the second half, but they believed. Our bench was amazing, our energy was amazing, and we found a way to get a goal. And yet, another national championship. Best part of the night, though, yeah, even better than the national title, Florida State football Twitter account retweeting the soccer tweet about winning the national title, and then everybody on Twitter absolutely ratioing them. It was beautiful. Jameis kind of got involved. Jameis tweeted, "Thank you, FSU soccer, for you consistently being our best football team over the years." Truth hurts. Let's go.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy. The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, the first hire for the 2026 season has been made. Will it give the Noles an edge? Is this thing a few more hires and a few more players away from being salvaged? And we're generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. warchantbogo, your promo code. Everybody, you don't know what to get that special someone in your life or what to offer up the office this holiday season. Give them energy. Give them vitamins. Give them nutrients. Give them a better mood. Give them their focus game improved. Maybe a little bit better pump in the gym. Hydration goals. We all have those as well. Vitamin Energy can help you out with all of it. VitaminEnergy.com, synergistically formulated to, again, deliver the energy and the vitamins and the nutrients to nourish the mind, the body. Can't say the soul, though, everybody. You got to figure that one out on your own. warchantbogo, your promo code. vitaminenergy.com, warchant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. News starting to finally percolate, everybody. So come get some over at warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Still think it's $1 for a week, and then you get that year subscription to The Athletic. Come see what all the fuss is about over at warchant.com. Read Corey Clark's content as well. What up, Corey Clark?
What's up, Aslan? How are you, buddy?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Hanging in there. How's the A?
It's fine. It's cold. It was, I guess it's cold and kind of dreary all over, but it was really cold in Atlanta. It was like 40 degrees. I don't think I'm quite ready for that, but hey, that's what we get when we have seasons. Am I right, Aslan?
Amen, brother. Amen.
We're right on the equator. I don't think you have a ton of seasons. And if you're far, far away from it, you don't really have a ton of seasons, right? You're pretty just really cold or really hot. It's right there in the middle where you get all that changing.
The happy medium that we all seek in our lives.
Yep.
With that said, good solid preamble to the show. It's the mailbag. Sure. It's going to be a long one. Buckle up. But we got news.
Yeah.
Comings and goings. I guess the first one, some help coming to the defensive line being addressed. A guy with some pretty decent pedigree, right? Stops at A&M, stops in Georgia, most recently at Syracuse. Nick Williams, edge coach, which if you're wondering who was coaching edges this year, because they surely didn't get to the quarterback, they didn't have one. They said Terrence Knighton was your defensive line coach. So bringing in a guy like Nick Williams perhaps frees up T. Knighton to coach up the Desirs even that much more. Think about the roof, the ceiling they could hit with even more focused training and coaching. But yeah, it sounds like right now so far what we've got is Nick Williams being added as a defensive ends coach, and David Johnson on his way out going to Arkansas, reuniting with Ryan Silverfield, who was in Memphis when they all were there, making it to New Year's Six bowls and other. I think maybe Johnson was actually in Tennessee that season, but they all started. They were all there in Memphis. So
yeah.
I don't know. I guess let me ask you about the David Johnson hire or departure, rather, first, Corey, because you mentioned the group chat. I guess just what this indicates possibly. I know just he's been with Norvell a long time at several different places. So I guess him leaving to Arkansas, what did you read into that, if anything?
Well, I read that, number one, it's amicable because he's going to Arkansas, which just hired, if you guys don't remember, hired the Memphis coach, Silverfield, who worked with Norvell. So I would think at the very least, even if Silverfield doesn't have a great relationship with Norvell, he would call and be like, well, tell me about David Johnson. And David Johnson would, I think, say nice things about Norvell. This wasn't just I don't think this was a contentious split. I think it was more, to me, just on the outside, it looks like, hey, we're making a change. Let me help you find a landing spot. Or reach out to Ryan. You guys have spent time together. I'll put in a good word for you if you want to go to that kind of thing. I don't think like Norvell's a puppeteer that can determine where somebody goes. But I do think that it's to me it was telling that he's going to Arkansas, which means it was kind of a friendly landing spot for David Johnson, which is like, okay, why is he leaving then?
Okay.
You know what I mean? If Norvell likes him so much that he calls up his buddy or talks to his buddy about, hey, you should hire this guy, he's really good. Okay, well then why is he leaving? If he's so good, why do you want him in Fayetteville and not in Tallahassee? So my thought was there's somebody else that wanted somebody else. Clearly Mike Norvell likes David Johnson. He's kept him on staff for a long time. Yep. And I don't think last year was like a reason to fire David Johnson. The running backs weren't great, and maybe he was tired of the rotation, but I feel like that was Gus Malzahn dictating the rotation more than David Johnson. But anyway, so that's why I think, okay, do they have an OC in mind that wants to bring in his own guy? Or is Gus staying? And last year he came so late that they stayed with David Johnson, but this year he wants his own guy to come in and be a running backs coach. I don't know, but I feel like this is more of whoever the offensive coordinator is wants to make this hire. Or has already made this hire, and that's why they told David Johnson, hey, we're going to go in a different direction. You're not going to be employed here, but here's a landing spot for you, is the way I view it. But that's just speculation.
Oh, it lines up nicely. It lines up nice. I understand that for sure. That makes a little bit more sense, especially when you think about the timeline from last year, Gus getting here, and then trying to also bring in a new offensive line coach and your receivers coach, have some level of continuity with your quarterbacks coach and your running backs coach. And I guess at that point too, it's maybe you didn't have anybody else in mind to bring along with him. I mean, if you're going to bring an offensive line coach in with you to coach up a whole new starting five, surely you could have found a running backs coach that you wanted that would have been able to help out, hit the ground running. But these are the things that we see in hindsight. Thoughts on the Nick Williams hire, Corey? The other thing you add to the group chat was, I think, our guy, everybody, Corey, think of Corey as a well-seasoned running back running behind maybe a poor offensive line, the poor offensive line being Mike Norvell and the product he's put on the field here of late. But give him a crease. That's all he needs. I mean, Corey just needs a crease. He needs to see some daylight to hit the hole and then bust it off for a touchdown and feel optimistic about where things can go from here. Because this is what we want. We want changes. We're starting to get some of them at a very slow trickle. You start looking at maybe the roster of where this guy is leaving and see if there's any potential candidates there as well. I mean, what makes you more excited, I guess, about this hire, more encouraged about the hire? Do you turn and look at his resume, what he's done with other players, or do you look at maybe who he was currently coaching and if he can bring some of those guys with him and some reinforcement?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say encouraged is the right word. We'll see. I think right now, until I start hearing who the players are going to be on this roster, I don't care who the coaches are. I'm much more worried about the players. So that's why, like this guy, you say he has a resume. Yeah, man, I mean, he was a GA at Georgia. He was a GA at Texas A&M. I don't know that he was the reason that Mike Elko had a good defense. Was because he was there. Just like I don't think Georgia was good when Kirby got there because he was on the staff. Maybe it's happenstance. I'm not, but I'm sure he's learned through some things, and he's learned some things. But when you look at what Syracuse was this year, you wouldn't be excited to hire any of those coaches. But he does have he's a younger guy. I think he's in his early 30s. He does seem to have a reputation as a strong recruiter. And so when I'm looking at the Syracuse defense, I'm like, okay, are there anybody that you'd want him to bring with him? Like just that. Like, is there anybody that maybe he has a relationship with where he could bring with him? Well, I don't know if he knows if he's good friends with Antoine. Oh, buddy, I'm going to spell this name, and you tell me how you would pronounce it. DESLAURIES. I mean, that's like Delon Malier on the baseball team.
Deloriers. Come on, man. Where's your French, buddy?
Sorry. So Antoine Deloriers. There you go. Doesn't matter. Antoine was a freshman All-American this past year, but he's a linebacker. Now, I don't know, when you're coaching edge at Florida State in a 3-4, the edge could involve linebackers now. Like, you're coming off the edge. The Desirs, are they edges or are they defensive linemen, interior guys? I don't know. Yeah. So there's kind of there's a little bit of gray area there what the edge actually constitutes. Either way, he's a freshman All-American. He led them in tackles this past year as a true freshman. I think he's a true freshman. He had 60 tackles. So I was like, okay, that'd be a nice addition. If you got him to bring in a good linebacker, a guy that could be an all-conference type linebacker, that's worth it to me alone. And then also there weren't a lot of stats for their edge guys, Aslan. Yeah. But they did have a guy, David. I mean, here we go again. Parolia. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what his name is. His first name is David. Didn't have a sack this year, but had 9 tackles for loss. So again, and Syracuse was terrible. But that's immediately what I looked at. When you're bringing in somebody, I want to know who they're bringing with them. Who's the baggage they're bringing with? Is it what did Deion say?
Deloriers.
No, what did Deion say when he came to Colorado? Like, I'm bringing some luggage with me and it's Gucci or something. Yeah. To those poor Colorado kids sitting meeting their new coach for the first time. So let's hope that he's bringing some guys with him that can play, or has some relationships that can foster much better edge play than we've seen here the last 2 years.
This is a good question, but there's 2 of them similarly, so it'd be hard to differentiate who would be the one that's going to be generating discussion. So I'm going to read both of these questions. Neither are the winners, but they're winners in our books. Geo Knoll, wake up. Hello, my favorite podcasters. What a time to look incompetent once again, huh? Letting Surtain go in that way was truly maddening. My question to the both of you, what will make this fan base feel like we are heading into a good and new era? New OC, new quarterback, new linebacker coach, an addition to Derek Ray, not a replacement. Thank you for what you do. It's greatly appreciated. Mark in Naples.
You're welcome, Gio Noel, by the way. Yeah.
What one change in the program, if announced this week, would make you guys crack a smile and think, okay, Mike, okay, I see what you're doing here. All right, let's effing go.
Is there one?
Is that a trick question?
No, I mean, is there one thing that they would, even if they announce a GM, when they announce a GM, hopefully, I don't know that it's going to make me like high five anyone or be like, yep, now I'm going to tell Stephanie to buy 4 extra tickets. Yeah. This is going to be a magical seat. Like, I don't think that's going to get me that excited. I mean, I knew they have to have one, but again, there's not a name that will resonate to the point where you're like, yep, that's a guaranteed. So I don't know if there's a change that could make me just absolutely believe wholeheartedly that next year will be better. Right now, I mean, quarterback is, again, first off. But after that, I don't know.
Well, what about your guy over in Durham? You know, what if Darian Mensah and his OC?
Oh, for sure. You know. Yes, but I wouldn't expect that to be announced in the next week. I thought that was the premise of the question. I could be wrong. Maybe that was Gio Noel. But yeah, there's definitely reasons I would get excited. But right now, I'm not thinking you're going to be making – well, you can't officially make any portal additions to your roster for the next 3 weeks.
True.
So it's like I don't know if there's anything really that's going to get me that excited until I start seeing the roster come together. Because right now, honestly, let's be honest, man. Like the only news that will be coming out of Florida State when it comes to players will be bad news. Either guys hitting the portal or guys leaving for the NFL. The good news doesn't come till the beginning of the next year. Now, there will be rumors that so-and-so's on a visit, so-and-so likes it, so-and-so's a done deal. But until it's official, there's not going to be a lot of great news roster-wise. These changes are at least something. But I don't know. Who's the new DN's coach, the new edge coach?
Nick Williams.
I don't know what his value is over Patrick. Like right now, if I'm still looking at that defensive side of the ball, I don't think having a defensive, an edge coach and a defensive line coach makes you any better than what you had last year when you had Patrick Surtain. Like, is that a one-on-one? Is that a one-for-one trade? This guy for Surtain? I know they're different positions, but if you're only going to have the same amount of coaches on that side of the ball, do you feel like you got the edge there? No pun intended. With bringing in a guy from Syracuse as opposed to the guy like Patrick Surtain? I don't know. I'm not. So not really. So that didn't give me any more encouragement than otherwise. But I'm not against it. I'm not Debbie Downer. I don't think the guy sucks. I don't think it was a dumb hire. I don't know. So we'll see what this ends up looking like. I just hope he has some connections. Maybe he came really close on the recruiting trail with some guys that can actually play, and he's at Syracuse, so what are you going to do? But now that he's at a place like Florida State, those guys want to come play for him at Florida State. Like, he might pay off tenfold. I just don't know right now as we talk about it on December 9th.
I'm not opposed to this hire.
Me either.
Sounds like, makes sense, right? Let's bring in another coach, help out at a position where we underperform, that is affecting the quarterback. I mean, when you're an edge coach, it's less about setting an edge and being a run stopper as it is about getting to the quarterback, I feel like. So let's bring him in, help out with T-Knight up front. But again, like, you came off 2-10. You wrote a bunch of checks to get rid of guys, bring in new guys, make plans, right? Like, you are on the record that you were speaking to Gus Malzahn during your second bye week because his coincided with yours. So, like, you had an idea of who you're going to bring on. It just, like, why wait to do this now? Like, they're coming off 2-10. They know they had to do drastic things, Corey, to make this thing better. It was T-Knighton. Like, nah, man, like, I don't want help. I don't need it. Like, let me coach all these guys.
I think, but I looked that up because I was curious about how Nebraska, what their football structure was like on the defensive side of the ball when he was there. And they just had a defensive line coach too, and it was him. Yeah. So I assumed that was what their thought was their defensive line coach is the guy that controls all of that. He controls James Williams, KJ Sampson, and the Desirs, just like he did at Nebraska. Yeah. I also think at Nebraska, when you're running a 3-4, though, the guys coming off the edge a lot of time are your linebackers. It's Stephon Thompson. Yeah. So is he being coached by Knighton or Papuchis? So what this might do, and again, it's pure speculation. If you're the edge guy, maybe that means that Papuchis is odd man out. Because when you're coaching the edge in a 3-4, you are coaching the Stephon Thompsons of the world.
Yeah.
You are coaching
Omar
guys
Graham.
that are coming off the edge. So you are coaching technically linebackers too. It's not just the Desirs and James Williams. So I just wonder what the whole thing will look like. And again, I think with something like this, I would assume it's a Tony White move.
Yeah.
Like, he's the defensive guy. He wants his guys. This is a guy, like, I assume when they interviewed him, I'm sure Norvell was in the room. Norvell was asking questions, but I would think at the end of the day, Norvell's going to trust Tony White to say, that's the guy I want. I like what he does. He obviously has a connection with Syracuse, so he's talked to people at Syracuse, and I'm sure he got a glowing recommendation from the people inside the program because Tony White has a history with Syracuse since he coached there for a couple years. They didn't overlap, which I thought was odd too. So anyway, I think this was a Tony White hire because Tony White knows some things had to change with the defense. And, clearly he's making moves. We'll see how much better they are next year. But he's making moves. He's the cornerbacks coach is no longer here, and you've got an edge coach now. We'll see what the linebacker coach looks like, in the next probably week, I would guess.
Who's hitching their wagon to whom? Is Tony White hitching his wagon to Mike Norvell, or is Mike Norvell hitching his wagon to Tony White? With this,
my problem right now with Florida State is I don't think there's a wagon to hitch to.
Yeah.
I think Tony White, and this is going to sound bad, and I don't mean it to. I think he's out for himself. Like, he's got a career to worry about. He can't worry about Mike Norvell's, limping along program. Like, he's got to worry about putting up a good product so he can get a head coaching job next year or the year after that, or get a better job if the whole staff is fired. Like, he won't be twisted in the wind because he'll have put up numbers and he'll put up results at a place like Syracuse, Nebraska, and then Florida State. And I know that Florida game is a bitter way to end the season, but when you look at imagine Tony White's bio whenever he gets hired by the next place. It'll be like in 2025, took the 91st ranked defense, and by the end of the year they were 24th in the country or 26th in the country. Improved 65 spots in the national rankings in 1 year. That's a gold star on his resume. Didn't feel like a gold star watching it, but it is a gold star. So he's looking out for himself, man. And again, him looking out for himself and trying to get the best defense possible is good for Florida State. So it's a win-win if it ends up being a good defense. But I don't think he's like, I'm doing this for Mike Norvell, or Mike Norvell is going to take me to the promised land. I think Tony White's thinking, I'm going to get myself there, and I'm going to get the coaches I want. And by God, give me some money to spend this year on my roster.
Yeah, maybe it's looking at what this conference is, who he's going to be playing. Like, I'm fine here. Give me some more autonomy. Like, he stays out of my, he lets me do what I want to do. I'm not being micromanaged. He's going to let me bring in some more of my guys. I feel like I can extract and get even better results. And then from here, sky's the limit for me. It's just interesting because, again, I think a lot of people felt better about Tony White as the season went along, but obviously that Florida game was pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, Mike's clearly not going to blow this thing up again. So he's kind of like, all right, man, I think I figured out my defense. So I'm at least a step ahead of where I was last season, where I had to bring in 2 new coordinators and had a good feeling they were going to both be able to help out and turn things around, which they did. Again, listen, man, there was a day and time in this year, everybody, that Florida State literally had the number 1 offense in the country. And you talk about why and all that, but that was their goal in the preseason. It sounded ridiculous. They achieved it. And offense was good enough to win, probably at least 7 games after coming off a 2-win season. So
you talk about the complementary football. I would say defense lost the Pitt game, lost the Miami game, and lost the Florida game. Right? Is there anything else?
No, man, that was complimentary loss.
Yeah, you're right. I would say, but if you wanted to put the one loss on a side of the ball, I would think the 2 that come to mind. You're right. Miami was both. The 2 that come to mind where you're like, if the defense had just played average to pretty good, they win, is Pitt and Florida. I think. Yeah. On the other side, the offense lost you Stanford, lost you NC State, lost you Clemson, at least. Am I missing any other ones? Yeah. Virginia, too, I guess you could put on the defense. So,
Well,
very
that was another
complimentary.
one, man. The offense turned it over. You can't turn the ball over in the red zone.
Yeah, but when you put up 30, 35 in regulation or whatever they did, you should win a game. That Duke team put up 20 against Duke, or that Virginia team put up 20 against Duke. It was not as good offense as we made it out to be 2 months ago. So, yeah, the offense cost you 3 games. The defense cost you 3 games. And then they split on the Miami game. Great. That is complimentary. It's as complimentary as you can get, Aslan, right down the middle. But I do think, and I've said this before, I don't think Tony White is foolproof, and I don't think he's criticism-proof. Like, he didn't have a great year by any means, but what he had to work with in the amount of time he had to put together that roster and to find a way to go from dreadful to pretty good, all things considered. Not great, but pretty good. Even if you just want to say above average, which is probably more fair. That was a really good sign, and it wasn't like dependent on one person. Like, I thought Florida State's offense was dependent a lot on, well, obviously a brand new offense of 5 guys that won't be here, but a quarterback that was unique and an NFL wide receiver out wide. That's why you move the ball a lot of the time. Florida State's defense it wasn't like they just rode the unique special talents of a couple of players, because they didn't have many. I think they were schemed up pretty well, and they were coached well for the most part. And there's some limitations that they have to work with and they have to figure out. And I don't care what they do. I was thinking about this today, Aslan. I know we got a bunch of questions. The last thing I'm going to say, I think we've talked about on headlines, I think they need a mental strength coach.
Yes.
Yes. 5 of them. I don't care. Each player gets one. I don't care. I also think they need to figure out what they're doing in the strength program. This is not a criticism of Josh Storms, although I guess it is. It sounds like that. I don't mean it to be, because he knows more about this stuff than I could ever dream of. But why in the world does Florida State seemingly get pushed around by so many teams? I don't understand it. Why are they not the ones imposing physical contact? Why do they not look as big as Florida? Like, not even close. More than anything, get me the Desirs to 285, but still moving like they're supposed to move. I want to see what they look like in a year, because they could be wrecking balls. They already are. At least Mandrell is. They could both be wrecking balls. Give me Kevin Wynn that can be on the field for 50 snaps a game. Like, that's the goal. Get these guys bigger, better, and stronger. That doesn't seem to happen a lot with his recruits. It happens. The guys that they've had the most success with are guys that were kind of ready-made, that were already here, or that were already doing something someplace else. I want to see this group of freshmen that we all like grow up and be better and bigger and faster. Let's hope that happens.
General theme of this mailbag, unfortunately, is, what can be done just to reinstill belief and hope, Corey. So these are going to be some questions I'll just read and then pull the string and let you go. Greenville, wake up, gentlemen, as we type no changes in anything football related. That was at 11 a.m., but they made a hire or two after that one.
Again, no announcements, by the way.
True.
It's just leaked out information,
right.
Because why make official announcements on stuff?
What on earth do the fans have to be excited about? Yes, the class was ranked 14th, but it's hard not to be ranked 14th when you sign 32 players. Second question is, do you think Coach Norvell knows the fans don't trust anything that he says? We were hoping for news soon that will reinvigorate the fan base, but I don't even know what that could be. Maybe that is my third question, he said. Then we go to North Alabama. Noel, ever since the Stanford loss, it seems like every somewhat major decision this administration and Mike has made has been woefully wrong. From completing a comprehensive assessment to keeping Mike to firing your best recruiter while making no other obvious changes 72 hours later, it's very difficult to have any hope for 2026. There were rumors that Alford is micromanaging everything all the way down to NIL. He won't accept that other schools will not play by the new rules. And then the backdoor Kiffin push came out, which was likely just for show, but made us rethink things. What has to happen for fans to get back on board with this program? For me, it will be difficult to have any confidence in this program with Mike and Mike at the helm. For what it's worth, Corey, when I said you were the mayor of Fantasyland, where I was coming from was, while you are correct, and none of us know for sure what's going to happen, it is very likely that this fire will continue smoldering without any leadership changes.
Yeah, that was a funny post, by the way. Yeah, I said I was the city council member. I was a city councilman in Fantasyland. Man, I get it, and I don't want to. I just want to stress that I am not the messenger of good news, and I'm not the Iraqi defense minister telling you we're winning the war. I don't believe that. My whole point is that we don't know. Maybe it's so Fantasyland makes it imply that there's no way it could happen, but we know that's not true. Is it likely to happen? No, I'm not delusional. I'm not deluded to think that all of a sudden this guy is going to make great hires and great additions to the roster. But it can happen. It's a possibility, but not a probability. And the one thing that when I was pushing back with Jeff on headlines is he thinks it's impossible that Florida State will be good again, ever again with Mike Norvell. I think it's possible, but not probable. He gives them a 0% chance of ever being good again with him at the helm because he's broken. I would give him, I don't know, a 25% chance. It's not like I like my odds either. And it's not like I'm sitting here telling you guys, hold on, hold the rope. You'll see. You'll see. He's got it all figured out. Dude hadn't won on the road in 2 years. There's nothing to be excited about with his tenure right now. It has been an abject failure. But we go into an offseason. I think offseason should spring renewed hope, even with a head coach nobody believes in, because he's got people around him you hope, that can lead him the right way and that he can learn from mistakes. He is not a dumb human being. His IQ isn't in the 60s. Like he's done this at a pretty high level and had good teams. So hopefully he can figure something out. And that gives me hope that they can make enough additions to the roster where we will be somewhat encouraged by what could happen next year. But nobody's sitting here thinking it's gonna happen. I'm just saying it's a possibility. Yeah. It's a possibility they could have a good season because I'm looking around the country and seeing all these teams that have never had good seasons have good seasons, and I don't think they're being coached by Newt Rockne. They fell into some stuff. Wouldn't it be nice if this guy fell into some luck for a change? Like, well, he did 3 years ago, I guess, with Verse and Fisk. But anyway, I would say the one thing that would give you hope at all, anything to believe in, is offensive coordinator, quarterback, OC, quarterback. Quarterback is, and there were 3 other guys that went in the portal on Monday at least. They're all from smaller schools because that's the only people that are going in right now. But there was like an FCS Walter Camp finalist from Harvard 2 years in a row. There's some dude from, where was he from? Put up huge numbers wherever the heck he was from. Now I can't even remember. But a smaller school. So yeah, man, there are possibilities out there to get instantly better. But I get the trepidation. I have it too. I promise you, I have it too because of the guy in charge. And just know I'm sick of it too. Also, we never really talked about the Kiffin thing that much.
Well, we talked about that one. We talked about it on the show.
But for like 2 minutes, and I wrote it in my column. I'm like, okay, were you really pursuing Lane Kiffin, or did you just want it to look like you were pursuing Lane Kiffin? And maybe more importantly, where did Schleybaugh get that information from? Is that from Kiffin's agent? Or is it somebody on the Florida State side saying, hey, why don't you put this little nugget out there to calm the fan base a little bit, to let them know we at least tried? I don't know if that was a smart play, if it even happened, if it would have been a smart thing to do. But, yeah, it was an unrealistic pursuit probably. I think fans were at least happy to know. And as I made the point in the column, all I care about is Norvell knows. Whoever put it out there, whether it was offered or whether it was Kiffin's side, whoever put it out there that Florida State was making a stealth run at him, good, Mike. Understand, you don't have full support. I know you kept your job, but nobody's excited. Nobody's happy with what you're doing, and nobody's okay with what you're doing. So, anyway, let's hope they spend that money in a good place.
Yeah, I was thinking about this whole timeline thing, too. I mean, there was some of the players thing from Texas. C.J. Baxter is a guy that Florida State was heavily involved in his high school recruiting. He went to Texas, got hurt after like a really standout freshman year. But
hey, baby, Baxter, come on home. Yeah, come to Tallahassee. You can get 5 carries a game.
A 4-star quarterback from Texas also entered his name in the portal. So I don't know, man. I just don't know what to believe. Like, is January 2nd going to hit? And then all these talented guys are going to finally announce, but it's starting to trickle out.
Oh, it's trickling out. I'm saying, but we won't know. Maybe we will. I guess. I guess you can make a deal and even announce it before you're technically in the portal. I guess I don't know the rules where it comes to that. But yeah, there will be a lot of information. I just think most of it's going to be players entering the portal. It's not going to be a lot of players signing until the actual portal. And then it's going to be like that. It's like the NFL or NBA free agent window where it starts at 12:01 a.m. and all of a sudden there's 50 guys with inked deals in 5 minutes. It's like, wow, that seems like y'all were talking before the deadline came. So I think that's when it will happen, when you'll see a flood of people announcing where they're going to school. But I could be wrong on that too.
More smoke about Sam Levitt leaving Tempe.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be picking up steam.
Kenny also had a starting offensive tackle enter the portal. Who started like 35 games for him.
What's going on in Tempe?
Yeah, Kenny, get it together.
Y'all get it together. Come on out to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Come out tonight. Trivia night, 7 p.m. House cash up for grabs and bragging rights. Smartest, coolest people in Tallahassee win the trivia contest at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Tuesdays. Thursday, bingo night, $250 in cash up for grabs 4 different times. Do the math. $1,000 out there, everybody. Playing bingo, doing your daubers, get your cards laid out, eat some delicious food, have some ice-cold beers, affordable beers, seltzers, cocktails, whatever you want. And obviously dartboards, billiards. It is called the Corner Pocket after all, everybody.
Corey Wrap's on the menu. Don't forget about that.
Absolutely. What do you think about what do you think about blistered tomatoes or sun-dried tomatoes added into the Corey Wrap?
I mean, I'd go for it. I'm not a tomato guy, but I'm
not
sure that
either.
makes
But
it
I think
even.
Those might work though. Those two options. I'm not a big tomato guy either, but I had something the other night with sun-dried tomatoes. I'm like, I really do like sun-dried tomatoes.
Oh, it's good to find out later in life.
Sorry
Things
to
about yourself.
Sorry to derail this. Get back on track, everybody. Do it so over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and NAPA Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway.
I haven't started playing Christmas music at the start of the show. That's going to change soon. You haven't started your Christmas shopping. Let's change that soon. But we don't have to go out into the brick and mortar, the retail, the parking lots, the madness. We can do stuff from home. Ridge. The Ridge wallet. I know I said I might get bidets for the boys for bachelor party groomsmen gifts. Think I might be going Ridge wallet because I keep remembering every single day when I reach out in my pocket and I grab my Ridge wallet. I'm like, this thing looks so cool. Feels great. Holds all my cards securely. Got the cash strap. Feels nice. I like this kind of stuff. Ridge wallets come with a lifetime warranty. That's right. Lifetime. This could be the last wallet you'll ever buy. Maybe you'll buy another one because you're like, oh, I want a leather wallet. I miss having a leather wallet. You'll go back to the Ridge wallet. Front pocket check. No worries about sitting on it. You don't want to do that. 100,000 5-star reviews. 99-day risk-free trial. Give it a try for 99 days. If you don't like it, send it back. They'll give you your money back. For a limited time, Ridge is having their huge holiday sale. Head to ridge.com, RIDGE.com, to get up to 47% off your order. This is by far the biggest discount they've been giving out all year long. That's ridge.com for up to 47% off your order during the biggest sale of the year. After you purchase, they might ask you where you heard about them. Tell them Wake Up Warchant, please. We are back. It is Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, warchantbogo, your promo code. We're going to go back-to-back here questions. One of them is going to be generating discussion. This one, not, because it's the positive. It's a positive. Everyone's negative right now, of course, so the negative one wins out. But it's a good question nonetheless. R. Willie X27. Wake up. Got my YouTube Wrapped back. Warchant came back as my top channel. 511 videos watched, and apparently I'm a top 0.8% viewer.
There we go. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Shout out again to everybody also that's been tweeting at us. They're Spotify wrapped and showing that Wake Up has been
that's
high.
cool.
Love that. FSU has probably been the worst team in college football situationally for 2 seasons now. This year especially, it almost felt like you could predict when a play would go wrong. While in 2023 and at the end of 2022, it felt like whenever we needed the timely play, we got it. So my question is, if it truly is a coaching issue situationally, and Mike's just lost it because he really did dial up some great stuff years ago, or could it be as simple as just changing a few players out, that maybe the situations work out better and the players come up with clutch plays more often than just completely changing everything?
I mean, we'll see. You could certainly make that argument. I guess that's what Florida State is banking on. It was funny. This has nothing to do with anything. But I was listening because I was driving, and I was listening to when they were revealing the teams for the college football playoff. And Reese Davis, when he was talking about Alabama, because somebody's like, well, and I think he even mentioned, he's like, well, they got the win over at Georgia, which is the best win in the field probably, but they also have the worst loss in the field to 5-7 Florida State. But that 5-7 Florida State isn't exactly as bad as that record says. Like, they're still top 30 in all the metrics. They're still top 30 in power rankings. And it's like, okay, leave it to ESPN to explain why the loss to the 7-loss team wasn't that bad. It's still a top 30. It's funny that they use that metric to prop up Florida State. But then when it fits another narrative, Florida State doesn't deserve to be in the play. It's, it is what it is. It's fine. Yeah, look, this was kind of the point I was making during the season is they were close. Look at it any way you want, man. Let's say the Florida and the Miami games were blowouts. Let's even give Clemson the blowout. They were really close to winning the 4 other games. You can't argue with that. Now, what the problem is why are you in a close game with Stanford? Why do you only have 1 touchdown against NC State? Why do you have 1 touchdown against Stanford?
Why is Pitt's true freshman quarterback first road start shredding you? Yeah.
And why is that the Pitt's best player wide open the whole time? Like there was there's all these factors. But at the end of the day, if you have better players across the board, those games don't come down to a couple of plays. So then even if you're not a clutch team, even if you do have a bunch of chokers, even if your coach panics in the moment and urinates down his leg, the talent level is so much that you're still going to win those games anyway, by and large. You don't lose every close game you play. This football team, incredibly, lost every close game it played. It has for 2 years, except for California. And they didn't play a lot of close games in 24, but the ones that were close, they lost.
Against possibly the upcoming Heisman Trophy winner, no less.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, I get to reveal my vote on next Monday. Monday show, I'll reveal my vote.
Thanks, man.
I can't say he was one of my top 3.
Okay.
That guy. But anyway, so yes, it is. They were closer to being adequate and to being in a bowl. But it's like, golly, okay, that's fine, I guess. But why do you keep losing all the close games? I just don't think the talent level, you can say the belief, they don't believe in the coach. All of that can be true. All of that probably is true to a certain extent, but it can be fixed with better players. Everything in life can be fixed with better players. Just like, a meal is always fixed with cheese. Just the more cheese, the better. On anything, cheese makes anything better. Okay. Better players make a football program better, and that's what all of this next month has to be about. Trade out the players that aren't very good for the players that are good, and then see where the chips fall next November. See where you are. Try that for size. No more diamonds in the rough. No more. He's learning. He's growing on the job. Or he's working. Like, just find guys that can play. Please. And they got a few of them. More than a few, actually. Certainly better than last year. So going into last year's offseason, they had nobody believed in. Not one single person. Yeah. Legitimately. I literally not one. I don't think. Am I missing? Darrell Jackson. That's it. Yeah, Darrell Jackson. That's the only player you truly believed in that could play at this level. Out of 85 spots, you had one guy that you thought could play. Well, now at least you go into next year, depending on who comes back, with, 16 to 20 guys that you think can probably play at a pretty high level in this sport. Well, there you go. Add to that, please.
Or maybe you hire some better position coaches. Maybe Nick Williams is a start of that.
Yeah.
Because, I think Marvin Jones tweeted something out about this, which is a really good point. I'll steal it. You can't tell me that Indiana has as many blue chip recruits on their roster as Ohio State.
Yeah, correct.
Yet somehow Indiana beat Ohio State. And again, it took a shanked field goal to ice it and cinch it up.
But they're even staying on the field with them.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, man. Guys that can motivate, that can inspire, that can lead. I mean, that to me, that's the.
I don't care about that. What you just said is kind of my issue with this program right now, because I feel like that's all Norvell wants to do is inspire and motivate. It's like, how about teach them how to be good football players? Don't pound your chest. Don't talk about response. Don't talk about how hard they work. Make them better football players through coaching and technique and fundamentals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to hear, man, because whoever asked that question a few minutes ago is absolutely right. There's nobody that's going to care what he says for the next 9 months.
Can he say anything with a level of sincerity or urgency that would make you think, okay, he was lying the last few years, but like he really does think they're working hard. They really are going to be good this year. Could he deliver in a tone or a tenor that would make like, okay, man, like, all right, I think I believe.
No. I mean, you could believe that he thinks that,
right.
But no, there's nothing he can say. There's no words other than we've signed Darian Mensah to be our quarterback. There are no words, or Jeremiah Smith is coming to play his last year at Florida State, that are going to make Florida State fans believe that next year is going to be any better. They have to see it on the field with good reason, man. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. You've said it, you've had a lot of great speeches, or at least a lot of long speeches in your last 6 years, and it's led us to this. So no, and I think he knows that, man. I think he understands that it's not. I hope he does anyway. That curb it a little bit on how much you love the way they work, how much you believe in them, the price they pay, how this place is different, how if you don't want to be coached hard, don't come here. Nobody wants to hear all that. How about telling a good kid, hey man, you're an awesome football player, and if you're worried about working too hard, well, we'll let you. We'll be a little lax because we really want you here this badly. Like, do whatever you have to do to don't scare kids away. Get them all here and then coach them hard. But all that stuff, all that coach speak that he's given and how hard it is and how hard they work, which they do. But they also work hard at Arkansas, in A&M, in Vanderbilt, in Minnesota. All football players work hard in the offseason. Yeah. So it ain't about that. It's about making them better football players.
All right, quarterbacks. Panama 04. Wake up, fellas. Hope all is well. Corey, you talk about the quarterback is always the most important key to this whole thing, and I agree. With that said, what would you do? Bring in a proven Division II quarterback or a higher potential Division I type? Why not both? You have to win now. You cannot afford failure. Thoughts? And Westy, Corey's been talking a lot about quarterback being the most important thing to address this offseason. While I understand why he would think that, I am of the opinion that we grow one that is already on the roster and put money towards the lines of scrimmage and hell, maybe even a good linebacker. At some point, we need to stop portaling over our quarterbacks. What do you guys think? No, man. If you don't have a quarterback, you keep portaling until you get a quarterback.
Well, I guess the counter to that is, do we know that Sperry's not the guy? And we don't, but is Norvell in a position?
They have to know, man. Listen, Tulane knew that Darian Mensah was their guy last year, and he came in third string into camp, but worked himself into being the starter. Mason Heinschel, I guess they had to put their hands up and be like, well, we got to figure something else out. But I don't think coaches are not in the business of just throwing guys out there that are not prepared just to see if he's a gamer, if he plays well under the lights. Obviously, I think we can say Brock Glenn probably not the solution, not the answer.
Right.
Kevin Sperry has not been here long enough for us on the outside to say that, but man, they could have seen it in practice. They've had enough practices without going to a bowl game and having 15 more to have a good idea of whether or not you can build around that young man. So if they're going to portal for a quarterback, then I think the one thing I will trust them on is that they probably do need to find someone better. And I don't understand this. Like, it sounds cool, right? Like homegrown quarterback. And I understand like the saving money aspect, but like that's just not the way it's going to work everywhere. I mean, look at all these other teams that are in the playoff right now. Indiana's the number one team in the country. They have a transfer quarterback. Granted, their coach has only been there 2 years, so it doesn't have the chance to have a homegrown guy, but there's this aspect of like falling in love with the team and the player and everything where you want them to be here day one and earning their stripes. And I respect that, Corey, but just this program right now is in such a precarious position that I would continue to portal until I finally struck it, man. It goes back to this thing that Russillo talks about on his podcast where you see all these NFL teams, they keep drafting first-round quarterbacks 2 out of 3 years. Like you have to just keep drafting them. And then you'll land on one of them. They took Robert Griffin III and they took Kirk Cousins in the same draft. One of them worked out. Like you need to hedge your bets when it comes to quarterback.
Well, because you can't be great without one. Typically, I mean, maybe there's a few examples, and I'm talking about NFL. There's a few examples over the last 10 years, but you need at worst competency at quarterback. You can't be bad at quarterback. And we don't know. I'm not saying that Sperry is bad. He might be really good. They don't know. And if they did know, he should have been playing. Like I would put it to you this way: if he's good enough to start for this team next year, the next game they play, then he should have been good enough to play in Raleigh and in Gainesville. Like he should, you're especially when you know you're coming back. Why not put him out there? I know you don't want to burn his shirt, but if he's good enough, he's going to the league in a few years anyway. Which I'm not putting that on him. I have no idea how good Kevin Sperry's going to be. But, yeah, I get what you're saying. I also understand the flip side is what if Sperry is the guy, he is really good, and you would go and spend $1.5 or $2 million of money you didn't need to spend. And you could have used that on other positions because there are a lot of other positions that you need to get good at or better at. So, yeah, man, it's a predicament. It's a predicament. I don't think when you look at the playoffs, I just don't think Norvell is in a position like Kirby Smart. Like Kirby Smart hasn't portaled in a while. Gunnar Stockton wasn't proven at all. In fact, he looked pretty horrific against Notre Dame in the playoff game last year. But Mike Norvell doesn't have the maybe the resume in the standing in the sport at his university that Kirby Smart does. Like Kirby Smart could have, if Gunnar Stockton was horrible, like couldn't play, Kirby Smart can survive that bad decision. Like, oh, well, we'll go get the best guy we can get next year. We'll still be, even a bad season at Georgia with Kirby Smart, I would feel like is 8-4 or 7-5. But we'll get better. We'll get a better quarterback. That's my bad. Mike Norvell can't survive another bad season. And as we've seen, a Mike Norvell bad season is dreadful. He can't survive another one. It's just too much at stake. I say he can't survive. What do I know? What do I know, man? He just went 3-7. So maybe he can. Maybe he's, coach emeritus. He just gets to be here forever. He's got tenure. But so I think in a perfect world, yeah, man, if you thought Sperry was the guy, let him come up, let him play, maybe take a few lumps next year, but you've got your guy. You've got a guy that you can build around that doesn't cost as much as a rental player and is going to be really good. But I just don't think Norvell has that I just don't think he has that runway to do that. I think he's got to go get a guy that he thinks gives them a chance to compete for an ACC championship next year. And maybe it is Kevin Sperry. They don't go get one. But we'll know. It sure sounded like Norvell on Friday when we talked to him, it sure sounded like they were going to add to that room. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering. But I thought he said, when I asked him specifically about Sperry, I think, or about the quarterback position.
Yeah, the way he handled the Tommy question made you feel like they have to bring in some other options.
Yes, yeah. So they don't believe that Sperry is the guy for next year, which, again, is another indictment of you still haven't recruited a guy that can play. But then who was the last quarterback Cristobal recruited out of high school that played any significant, meaningful, good snaps for them? It's been a minute for them, too.
All right, so this is the other side of the coin, Corey, if you will, a little bit more of a cynical look at matters right now going on at Florida State. But before we get too cynical, shout out to Mandrell Desir, freshman All-American, driven by our friends over the On3 network here. So,
along with that Syracuse linebacker.
Okay.
What did you say his name was?
Deloriers?
Something like that. Yep.
Awesome.
They might be teammates next year.
We hope.
If that new DN's coach can do anything, if he can make it worth their while.
Well, listen, man, what's really been generating discussion this week is like, what can we hang our hats on? What is there to feel hopeful for? What is there to feel optimistic for? There's too many questions. I mean, just couldn't pick one of those. So this is a question that kind of feels like it's in the same neighborhood, same ballpark. And I think people are going to be talking a lot about it. They're going to have some thoughts and opinions on it, Corey. So let's turn on the cameras. And if you could, whatever magic sorcery you like, if you want to crank it, if you want to just push the button, Corey, I defer to you. Let's get this party. Oh, he did that. Oh, sorry, Shanna. Not sorry, Shanna. It's generating discussion sparked by Cummins. You know how this works. We feature the best question in the mailbag that's going to be generating the most discussion. We enter them into a monthly drawing. They get a free Cummins gift bag, the winner. And then there's an end-of-year grand prize drawing, which we did last week for 2025. The end-of-year giveaway for 2026. Again, the details will be forthcoming sooner rather than later. It's awesome. And if I'm overselling it, you have every right to unfollow Cummins Lifestyle. But I'm telling you, folks, you will not. Give them a follow on Instagram. It's all one word, Cummins Lifestyle. Here is the question, Corey, without further ado, from our guy, random_John. If you strip away emotion and look strictly at trajectory, do you honestly believe FSU is closer to being a top 10 program or closer to slipping into long-term middle-tier status? And what hard evidence or pattern points one way or the other when the record says one thing and the rhetoric says another?
What do you think there, Aslan?
The hard evidence, man. That Florida State looked really down, really down for almost 10 years. The better part of 10 years. It was called the lost decade by a lot of folks, right? They brought a guy in who he coordinated the offense, and it wasn't really that great, but they decided to stick with him, give him a shot to be the head coach, and then 4 years later was the architect of maybe, one of the 5 best teams in college football history. Then, they found themselves down on their luck once again, Corey Clark, right? It was bad. We were in El Paso, Texas. Shout out to them, by the way. Great. I should say the year before that, bowl streak of epic proportions snapped, winning streak or winning seasons record of epic proportions snapped. And then, 5 years later?
Yeah.
One of the 4 best teams in the country, one of the 4 most deserving teams in the country. So it is this place. It is playing in this conference. And listen, I guess the flip side of it, Corey, is that if you're not in this conference in 5 years, well, you probably be making a lot more money. You'll be able to compete if people think that's the real gap between what's going on now and what's going on around Florida State. Listen, we're going to talk about later in the show about Notre Dame and how long it's been since they've won a national title. And Florida's been kind of lost in the wilderness here. It's my alma mater. I'm going to stay somewhat optimistic and hopeful, even if I'm cynical at times, Corey.
I think, look, in the 90s, Florida State had inherent advantage because of the coach and what he had built. It had inherent advantages over 98% of the country. Like there are schools that just couldn't compete, not just financially, but talent-wise, the resource-wise, coaching-wise. Like they were one of the 2 or 3 best programs in the country for 15 years. You could argue the best program in the country. Nebraska might argue with you. I guess maybe, Florida wouldn't have Miami might argue with you. But Florida State for 15 years was awesome. That will never come back because I just think the parity is too great. Like, you're never going to just be dominant anymore. Those days won't come back where you'll be a perennial top 10 team, I don't think. But that doesn't mean that you're stuck in lower tier status. I think that would be my counter to that is nobody gets stuck in it. Like, Indiana's not stuck in it anymore. Vanderbilt's not stuck in the mud. If they can get out, Florida State can get out. Right now they are, and it might take a coaching change. Probably will take a coaching change. But there's just no world in which Florida State is relegated to this long term because of the nature of the sport. It obviously they're also not relegated to being one of the top 10 programs in the country year after year after year. There's 3 of those as far as I can tell, and that's Georgia, Ohio State, and Oregon. And we'll see how long those last. But right now, those three are without question always good. Always good. I don't know that you could say anybody else is always good. Like, look at the playoffs now. Alabama, they have 7 losses the last 2 years. They're still good. Don't get me wrong. They also lost to Florida State. Oklahoma, they were I think Venables was close to being on the hot seat coming into this year. On and on and on. You can go around the country, and these perennial power. USC hasn't really been relevant in 15 years. Florida hasn't been relevant in 15 years. Miami's been 20 years, 23 actually. So when you look around the country, I just think Florida State is living life like everybody else. It's not like it used to be where it was like it seemed like a birthright that your team was always going to be in contention for a national championship. You've got to work harder at it now because all the teams can win. So that's where I think you are. I get the pessimism, and I'm there with you because of what we've witnessed the last 2 years. But as Aslan pointed out, the year before that, Florida State was one of 3 undefeated teams in the United States after 12 games. They were a very, very, very good team with a bunch of NFL players. This guy did that. If Mike Norvell can put something together like that, what about if you get a better coach than him to come in here? I think the odds are he can. That it can be right there again where you're feeling proud of this program. Maybe it happens with him. That seems doubtful at this point, but you never know. Maybe there's some weird pivot and it happens with him. But it will happen again because it's Florida State. The problem is it is harder. Like there's more competition now to be good than there ever has been. It used to be it was like USC, Alabama, Ohio State, Florida, Miami, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and a few others. Now everybody's involved. Texas Tech is crashing the party. Indiana, Vanderbilt, Purdue maybe one day. Virginia was close to playing in the playoffs. Duke just won the ACC. Like it's just a lot more parity right now and a lot more good football players and good football teams. So you've got to be better than you've ever been. And Florida State is not there. And maybe won't get there with this head coach. But Miami's in the playoff. Miami's in the playoff. They were stuck in long-term middle-tier status for 25 years, and they're in the playoff. So it can't happen again. You can't turn it around.
For me to ever be out on Florida State, it would have to be something foundational. Like that would have to seismically change where Super League happens, they don't make the cut.
Yeah.
They end up in a group of 5 situation, right? Because you think about Nebraska and where they were. I mean, for them, the seismic change was just like the way the map ended up working, right? Like Texas became better again. USC became better again. Kids stopped leaving Texas and California to go to Nebraska. I'm like, I don't think players are ever going to not want to come to Florida State. Like there's too much talent in this state to not wind up with a competitive roster. You are in a Power 4 conference. You are in a Power 4 conference that you can easily win. And to your point again, Corey, like they are locked at the hip to a certain degree with Mike Norvell, but like he's not going to be here in 5 years if he's not winning football games. And then they're going to have somebody different to try to figure it out. You can say, well, Florida's been going through that cycle. Like Florida had a good coach. They had Dan Mullen. They botched it, man. They had an AD that didn't get along with him. They had, boosters that probably felt a little too good about themselves and didn't like the fact that he wasn't bending the knee and wasn't being all fuzzy and warm and fuzzy with them. So there's certain things you have to do to also stand in the way of your own success. I don't think Florida State has those kind of obstacles in its way, Corey.
No, I don't either. I mean, look, there still are inherent advantages here, and most notably, like Aslan said, it's the state you get to call home. I mean, this is where the most talent. I guess it's Florida and Texas are the 2 most populated Division I. Division I talented talented states in the country. So. Yeah, man, you should always have a chance to be good. You almost have to be this bad. It takes real effort. Like you have to almost try to be this bad at Florida State. Like even in Florida's down years, they never had 2 years like this. This is abysmal, and it's almost like you have to work at it. When you get just competence, if you just get competence, somebody that knows what they're doing, and again, maybe this guy learns his lessons and figures it out and becomes Newt Rockne. But you get somebody in here that just knows what to do. Your base level is so much lower, or should be so much higher, than the Dukes and the Indianas and the Purdues of the world. Right now, you're Purdue, which is crazy. It's crazy, but that's not your long term. Don't think because this happened, this is your long term. Let me put it to you another way, and this is probably an analogy that's stupid. Steven Spielberg made Jaws. He made Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I think he made something else. Maybe he was a producer on Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then he made 1942 or 41, whatever that dumb war movie was he made with Belushi and Aykroyd, which made no money, which was supposed to be a comedy. It didn't mean that Steven Spielberg was his movie-making career was over. He was never going to make a hit again. He just went through a bad spell. It was a dumb idea, executed poorly. And then he ended up making E.T., So maybe Florida State right now is in their 1940. I wish I knew the name of the movie. It's either 41 or 42.
It's 1941. You are correct. Came out in 1979.
Yeah, there you go. So that was after Close Encounters and Jaws, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so he follows up two of the biggest hits of all time with this horrible World War II movie, and then follows that up with E.T.
Well, Raiders of the Lost Ark, then E.T.
Okay, so he got back on track pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And maybe Florida State, maybe they're not Spielberg, but they're close enough to it, man. They've had some hits. They've had some huge box office successes. Right now they're doing 1941. And I'm not saying that Norvell is Spielberg, because he isn't.
No.
Let's get that clear. I'm saying Florida State is Spielberg, and you can have another you can be good again. You are not relegated to this. You have proven as an institution, as a fan base, as a talent location, that you can be one of the greats, and you can make you can win a ton of games and make a ton of money. You've proven that repeatedly over the last 45 years. Your track record is pretty much second to no one. So it can come back. It will come back. I hope it comes back next year, but it will come back. You are Florida State, man. You're not Minnesota. You're not Colorado State. You're not South Carolina. You have a history of doing this. You have an expectation, most importantly, of doing this, and you will do it again. You will get players in here that can play, coaches in here that can coach, and people that know how to win football games. Just like Spielberg knows how to make box office hits.
Yeah. And in that vein, your last championship isn't on VHS. You can buy it in the Apple store. Like I bought it. I remember buying it in the iTunes store. I bought the 2013 games. I could just watch it whenever I wanted to. The only other thing I wanted to add, Corey, is this is me maybe being projecting and being a little offended or being a little sensitive, but the question starts with if you strip away emotion. And I think when it comes to talking about the positive about Florida State, it becomes that you're being emotional, you're being a homer, you're being irrationally, optimistic. If you call out the fact that, again, listen, they should not have been in one possession games against a lot of the teams on the schedule because of the amount of money they spent on this roster compared to what those other teams did. But they were, right? A weird call against Stanford, maybe you end up winning that game. If they don't challenge, I guess all scoring plays, all turnovers get challenged, but the Deuce potential tying touchdown against Virginia, that was ruled a touchdown on the field. It gets overturned. Man, so the emotion, I think, can work both ways too, to where, listen, I'm not trying to say feel good about what Mike Norvell is, what he can be, what he will be. Not saying that at all. Man, if you really do look at how far they came this past season with, again, listen, an offense that maybe a lot of people don't think is legit, guys like Jeff, and I'm with Jeff, I'm kind of aligned with that did not feel like a real sustainable plan moving forward. But if you were just trying to be a respectable team after you only won 2 games last year, it was good enough. They did enough good things. There's enough good pieces around here that even if you looked at it from the outside, you're all right, man, they lost a bunch of crazy one-possession games. They're bringing back a bunch of young freshmen that played a lot of meaningful snaps for them. They should be one of the more improved teams going into 2026. I don't think that's being overly emotional. I think it's almost being as emotional, if not even more, if you're just I'm screwed, we're done, we're toast until this guy leaves. I don't disagree with it, but I think that's emotion in itself as well.
It is, yeah. There's emotions on both sides, mainly on that side. They're screwed no matter what. And again, I understand that sentiment because this has been just disgusting. But, again, I still go into next season thinking Florida State's going to have a better roster and a better chance to win than Duke, especially if Mensa leaves. I guess if they have the best quarterback in the country, who knows? But they should have a better roster than Pitt. They should have a better roster than Virginia. They should have a better roster than this team, this team, this team. So literally you should be competing with financially Clemson and Miami, and that's it for talent in this conference. And then go from there. But you should always be one of the better teams in your conference. You should have the most talent of any team in your conference. And I don't think just because of the year we're living in, I don't think it's too much to ask or expect for Florida State to have the best or second best roster in the ACC, and then go from there. You got Central Arkansas, you got New Mexico. So you open with New Mexico State, according to them. I don't know if that's official, but maybe it is. So you open with New Mexico State. That should be a win. Central Arkansas, obviously a win. Everything else is up in the air. Literally all of them are losable. But you also look at that roster, and who scares you? Or that schedule. Who scares you? Who can you absolutely not compete with?
Any team with an at in front of their name.
Well, that's a great answer, and that's a fair answer. Eventually, though, law of averages, right, Aslan? They gotta win one of these things. And then, once they win one, it'll be like the Red Sox. Once they won that World Series, they just came a flood. So I think that what gives me hope is not this coach, it's not this coaching staff, it's just the sport itself and how much it changes from year to year and how much you can go from average to good and good to great. Average to great, even really, really quickly. Now, do I trust this guy's going to get it done? No, but I don't give up all hope and say it can't be done because I don't think, I look around the country and I don't know that all these other guys or all these other programs that are having great seasons by their standards are being coached by the best coaches on earth. Just think they got a good roster, a couple good players, got a lucky in a few games, and Florida State. I'm not asking for a ton. That's all. But maybe I'm asking for too much from this guy.
I look forward to being able to sign off on these videos with being like, Mandrell Desir is the defensive lineman what the Cummins own and portable generator is to the outdoor lifestyle. Which I guess I can say that because he's a true freshman All-American. So I'm hoping I can say the coach, when it comes to coaching, Florida State's got a head coach that is in a class of his own, just like Cummins and the own and portable generators.
Right now, he's in a class with Mudra. Yeah. We got to get that together, Norvell. Pick up the pace, please. Don't let me put you in the same sentence as Mudra ever again. College Football Hall of Famer Daryl Mudra, by the way, had a lot of success, just not in Tallahassee.
Cummins Lifestyle. Follow it, please. Instagram. Underdog Fantasy Sports. Get involved this bowl season. We got our first bowl game up in ready to select. Man, there's a bowl game on Saturday. Boise State taking on Washington. I think that might be the LA Bowl.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice. Get those kids in the portal early.
Yeah. We offered our picks yesterday of the available quarterbacks nationally playing in the playoff games. Ty Simpson, Marcel Reed, Trinidad Chambliss, and Dante Moore. I already got my pick in there. You folks, you can either follow along, draft off of our guy Corey Clark, or just, go ahead and make your own picks. But you can also bet on any other sport pretty much. UFC, hockey, hoops. It's all there for you. Underdog Fantasy Sports. Download the app today. Sign up a promo code WARCHANT to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code WARCHANT. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Underdog Fantasy Sports must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. College football playoff. We had a question somewhere here, Aslan. Where'd you put it on your sheet? Can't find it, Corey. What's going on? People want to talk about bowl games. Maybe the bowl? Nah, that's a different question. Let's talk about it. Let's just go to it, right, man? I do want to talk about what's going to happen to conference championship games. So that might be a show for another time. What are your thoughts on Notre Dame? Pulling their clout or whatever and saying, we're not going to help you out, ESPN. We're not going to play in a bowl game. Suck it. And then also shading my boy Jim Phillips in the home office in Charlotte in the ACC. Notre Dame's looking very, I don't know, man, very
petulant. Yeah. They look like a big baby, big toddler temper tantrum. Look, it bothers me a lot. Like, I get that they would be upset because Phillips is out there talking about head-to-head should matter, and it is crazy and funny that the ACC network played the Notre Dame-Miami game on a loop for about 48 hours straight, which is really, really funny. And as I said in a tweet on Monday, it's like, well, could have used that same energy 2 years ago out of you guys. That would have been nice. Instead of arguing for the 11th, a team that lost twice, maybe you should have been arguing more for a team that in your conference didn't lose at all and was left out. But that's neither here nor there. But, yeah, the Notre Dame AD was on the Dan Patrick Show and said that, this had permanently damaged the relationship between Notre Dame and the ACC. To which I say, go F yourself. Go F yourself, man. Like, number one, they gave Notre Dame full voting rights on adding California and Stanford, which was that's what Notre Dame wanted to this conference. Now, Florida State can't beat either one of them with regularity. Well, they're 1-0 against Cal. What am I talking about? But they add nothing to this conference from a football standpoint. None. But it gives Notre Dame extra games to play and it let them keep the rivalry, quote unquote, with Stanford. So great. Thanks. You're welcome, Notre Dame. They got full voting rights, even though they're not a full member. And in 2020, understand they would not have had a season to play if it wasn't for the ACC. Notre Dame would have not played a game if they weren't allowed to play a full conference schedule as a member of the ACC. Now, let me remind everyone, they're not a member of the ACC. But the ACC, out of the graciousness, generous heart that they have, their generous nature was like, okay, we'll let you play nothing but ACC games. Maybe they had one non-conference game. I don't remember. And, yeah, that's the payment they get. That's the repayment. This is permanent damage. It's not like Phillips was out there saying, don't take Notre Dame. He was just saying the Miami team, a full member, won the game. Notre Dame is not a full member. So screw off, man. What do you want? Become a full member, you'd be in the playoff. But you're not. So to come out and, just attack the ACC, man, attack your holder for not being able to hold an extra point against Texas A&M. Maybe you win the game, and maybe we're not in this mess anyway. You're not in this mess anyway. Or beat Miami. Could have done that too. But attacking Jim Phillips in the ACC, and, buddy, I am not one to carry water for this conference. Give me a break. What they did 2 years ago was a dereliction of duty on the point that it should have been fireable. It was ridiculous. I know they were in a lawsuit. Didn't really have a lot of love for Florida State at the time. But still, that was a member school that needed some public backing, and you were off in the shadows while Greg Sankey was doing a 24-hour infomercial pounding his chest about Alabama and the SEC. So I have no love for the ACC. But for Notre Dame and the AD to come out and blast the ACC for disrespect, I can't remember the exact quote. I know permanent damage was one.
Yeah.
And that they attacked their most lucrative financial partner, whatever they said. It's just ludicrous. And a big old baby. It's just a big old baby, man. Shut up. Like, golly, have some, at least 5 years ago wasn't that long ago, Aslan. Notre Dame would not have played football in 2020. Because remember, the Big Ten canceled the season. They're like, nope, we're done. The ACC's like, no, we're going to power through. And they let Notre Dame play in the conference championship game. One of the biggest wins of the last 10 years for Notre Dame was their win over DJ at home during that season. It was I don't think it was an overtime game. It was 50-44 when DJ was in for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
It was a really good game. One of the best memories of their recent history. And you would not have had that if it had not been for the ACC. So shut up. At least show some respect for the fact that they let you do that and didn't ask for anything in return. I'm sure you shared some money with us. Great. You went back to being independent. And the ACC is teetering on the brink of extinction. And you're complaining that they didn't love you enough. Good grief. Anyway, screw the college football committee either way.
Yeah.
I don't know who I hate more. I still hate the college football committee more than Notre Dame. It's not even all that close. I don't know why I said that.
There's a column out there from the Notre Dame site. The tweet delivering it. Notre Dame makes the ACC look good in 24 sports. Makes the ACC a lot of money too. Heck, the only reason Miami is in the playoff is because of a big win against Notre Dame. All things considered, Pete Bevacqua had every right to call out the league. And then my buddy who's actually a Miami fan, he's like, over the last 3 seasons, here are the Notre Dame's ACC championships. 1 in
read 'em
women's
off.
basketball,
Yep.
3 in women's fencing, 2 in men's fencing, 1 in women's cross country, 1 in men's lacrosse. What are the 19 other sports Notre Dame makes the ACC look good in?
Track.
Yeah.
Great at track. Great at field. They're good at track and field, Aslan.
Sweet.
No, they're horrible in both. I assume they finish last. I don't even know if they have a track program, honestly. And that's not a joke. I don't know if they do. They Notre Dame.
I think they do, because
wouldn't
Link Link say they would like use the track to do some stuff, or they would go inside? They may have an indoor track.
I thought they went and used the soccer team's facility, like the indoor soccer facility. But it might have been a track too. It might have been like a high school with all of them
under one
using
roof,
one space under one roof. Man, the women's soccer team is good, great. But the women's basketball team is good. The men's basketball team has been a bigger dumpster fire than Florida State the last 4 years. They used to be good for a while under Mike Bray, but they've added very little to the coffers. It's cool and it is cool, like getting Notre Dame playing 4 or 5 ACC games a year in football is
cool.
a big deal.
It is.
I'm not diminishing that, and it's great for those stadiums and those gates. Notre Dame is still an enormous draw. Notre Dame last won a national championship when Ronald Reagan was president. Please understand that, everyone. The sport, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but college football has somehow survived without Notre Dame being a national power. Somehow, it still makes money for other universities and other schools and other conferences, even with Notre Dame not having won a national championship since Bill Cosby was the biggest star on earth. Literally, 1988 was the last time they won a national championship. They played for a couple. Awesome. They are a very good program. They're certainly a top 10 program right now. The college football world keeps spinning. They are not the end-all, be-all. And certainly, what have they done for the ACC? They're so important to the ACC that 2 years ago, a team that went undefeated in this conference didn't get to play for a playoff. Didn't get to play for a championship. So miss me with all that. You have not added it. You've added a little bit more than Boston College, not as much as Louisville. Because Louisville at least gave us a Heisman Trophy winner. You know what I mean? Legitimately. Louisville's meant more to the ACC by a large margin, actually, than Notre Dame has. I say that because football is the biggest sport. Clearly, it's 90% of everything, and Notre Dame doesn't play a full ACC schedule. If they were an ACC conference member, they would trump everyone, including Florida State. They'd be the biggest deal. I 100% say that with certainty and with the proper respect and deference to the great Notre Dame. But they're not a full member. They're not adding that much. Blah, blah, blah.
Last thing on the way out that kind of deals with this, right? Corn Tater, wake up. College football has become a club of the haves, have-nots. I know we all feel the same about the snub. But what if FSU put out a press release following the snub similar to Notre Dame, and we never wore a 60-point beating in the Orange Bowl? I'm a dreamer. So my dream is that Norvell would have closed his recruiting class in the top 3, and we would have won 10 games with Cam Ward in 2024.
Yeah, I just don't know if the Orange Bowl had any impact on the Cam Ward decision or recruiting for that matter. But, yeah, I said it. I kind of whispered it at the time. I don't know how much I made it a talking point. But I did think they should have, especially when I went to practice that first day and saw who wasn't out there. I'm like, what is this? What is the point of this? Why not just call it off? Like, you literally played Georgia with a scout team defense. Your scout team defense played UGA, who had been number 1 all season and was probably still the most talented team in the country. You know, the McConkey kid can play a little bit. Brock Bowers, pretty good player. That defense was full of first-round picks. Like, that's the team you got to play in the Orange Bowl, and you took them on with a scout team. For what purpose? Like, you knew most of your good players were not going to play in that game. It turned out none of them did. Even Fisk was like a game-time decision that's like, nah, I'm good.
Remember Jarian Jones said he was going to play, and then he ends up pulling out like the week of? Yeah.
I think the only starter that played might have been Deloach.
Yeah.
But kudos to him forever. And also Ja'Kai Douglas. Ja'Kai Douglas played hard. He had to be the running back in that game. It was a cluster, and it was ridiculous. And there would have been some people that would have said, oh, you're being a quitter, you're taking your ball and you go home. But I don't think so. Notre Dame's getting that attack. But Notre Dame lost 2 games and finished behind a team that it lost to during the regular season. Florida State went undefeated, and most people were outraged by it. Not just Florida State fans. Most everybody thought that was ridiculous and unfair. So at that point, if Florida State would have taken a stand, what a time to be a martyr. And also, it does save you a 60-point beatdown. Now, did they know they were going to lose by 60? I guess not, but I don't know how then. That questions every coaching brain cell that was on that staff. If they didn't look at that roster that was coming back when Verse, obviously Travis was out, Benson, Wilson, Keon, Fisk, Renardo, Bethune, Fabian, Jaheim Bell, everybody on that, Renardo Green, I think, everybody on that team is like, I'm going to sit this one out. Rodemaker, like even your backup quarterback sat it out. So at that point, what are you doing? So yes, I don't know that it changes a thing. But I would, in hindsight, and I thought so with a little foresight, it would have been such a great stand, in my opinion, to show how unfair and unjust and how ridiculous that thing was. To say, no, we're all good then. We're not going to play in your bowl. We're not going to play in your bowl. Instead, you let them slap you in the face, and then you got spit on 3 weeks later. I think you could have stood up. It would have looked, it might have looked like you were quitting. I don't care. You stood up for yourself. And Notre Dame, to a varying degree, is standing up for itself and kind of showing how ridiculous the bowl system is. They go from being in the playoff to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. All right, man, what are we doing here? But Florida State had a legitimate leg to stand on, and obviously in hindsight should have never played that game. It set the program back years. All those guys probably thought they were good players until they rolled out there at Hard Rock Stadium and got embarrassed like they were a JV team playing the number one high school team in the country. Like, just got embarrassed and flattened. And there was not one good thing that came out of it. Not one good thing. And so, yeah, that's hindsight talking. But me and you were talking before that game when we go, because we got to watch practice then. That team had no shot. No shot. And then a week out, Rodemaker says he's bouncing. So you don't even have so you're not even getting to reps for your potential maybe starting quarterback next year because he's gone. And so, yeah, it was yes, I wish they would have. It would have saved me a trip to South Florida, and it would have saved all of us. It's the maddest I've ever seen Ira in my life, and I've been on car rides with that guy for 10 hours. That's the maddest I've ever seen him. And it's like, yeah, man, but what did you expect? This is this, and he was like, I remember we had a conversation because I'm like, hey, man, so-and-so is only sending one guy down there or no guys down there to cover the game. He's like, it's the Orange Bowl. We got to be here. Yeah. And I'm like, and I remember texting him, I think, like, is it the Orange Bowl though, really? Like, this doesn't matter anymore. The bowl system is on its way to being obsolete. Yeah. And if it does become obsolete, I wish Florida State would have thrown the first salvo because Florida State deserved to make the whole sport obsolete for what it did to them 2 years ago.
Well said. That is it for us, everybody.
Hey, what are we going to do about soccer? Because we're recording this before soccer. I want people to know that in case they're like, wow, Florida State just won a national championship or lost a national championship, and they don't even talk about it, but we are recording it beforehand.
This is true. We'll get Coach Penske on for like an extended conversation to make up for not waiting out. It's just the mailbag's a long, big show. So like if I wait around until that game goes final and then I add it, folks, I stayed up till 3 a.m. when they lost to Stanford.
Yeah. Hey, I stayed up till 4 because I had to write after that.
Yeah.
We all make sacrifices for the jobs we love, Aslan. But I was going to say on the way out, we'll figure out what we do about soccer. I hope they won, everyone.
So do I.
I was watching. But then there's another one that says, breaking, Arizona State starting cornerback Javon Robinson plans to enter the portal, he tells On3. He has started the last 2 seasons, 85 tackles, 3 interceptions, 12 PBUs. The only reason I know is because it's quote tweeted with Coach Dillingham, which is Gunny Dillingham, saying, going to be a baller somewhere with 5 exclamation points, which is exactly what he did about that offensive lineman that left. He tweeted, going to be a baller somewhere. Like he's not mad.
Yeah.
He's like acting like he's excited for them, which I think it's his way of telling whoever's in control of the NIL in Tempe, please get it together.
Yeah, good job.
Like, we got to keep these guys on campus. That's his way in his own way of showing that he's all for what the players are doing because they're taking more money because Arizona State's not giving them enough.
It's one of the more intriguing things, but it's a little bit further down the marquee, but what he's trying to do out there, because he's being kind of abrasive about it. And he's
100%. He's being aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say passive aggressive, but he's being aggressive about this stuff. And listen, I mean, he has the right to do that because of what he did last year and what they probably should have been this year had Leavitt not been injured. But again, is he even 40 years old? Kenny, I don't think he is.
No.
And, they might fall, they might not land well with, 65-year-old benefactors and things. I know there's one guy that he completely gave a shout out to year one where he's like, without that guy, we don't have a football team right now. Like literally without him, and named his name. So, curious to see how everything works out there with Kenny. And if his star can keep shining bright in the Big 12 with Texas Tech taking things over. But Seminole headlines going down today, 1 to 3 p.m., warchant.com around the clock. We got some more questions we'll get to later in the week, and hopefully some more news continues to trickle. And then maybe it just bursts, the water main bursts like a fire hydrant in Flatbush, New York, in the middle of the summer back in the 60s, just partying in the streets. We'll be here for you, folks. We will. Promise. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. Warchantbogo, your promo code.